Welcome to another episode of The Last Word on Rugby. We are finally into Boks Test week, and it is test number 1 against Los Pumas in Durban. This is going to be a wild 2 weeks. The Rugby Championship is on the line for the Springboks. They are back at home. They will look to maintain an almost spotless home record when it comes to tests this season. It's also their final game in South Africa for the year before they head on overseas. With me today to discuss everything on the Boks, it's John Goliath and Mike Greenaway. Mike's obviously up in Durban. He has been following the Boks from Monday already. Tuesday's team announcement, where not a lot of surprises in that team.
Hmm.
The fairly a fairly settled squad since that big win in Wellington. Mike, if you can take us just through that quickly, what's been the chat in the Bok camp this week on how they are
Yeah,
seeing this Argentina game?
yeah. Just looking at that side, yeah. Look, I think that Rassie is getting closer and closer to his best possible starting 15, best possible 23. He said himself, look, there was the only changes I made were injury enforced. I think he is settling down to what he thinks, and he said this is the team that I'm convinced will give us the best chance of beating Argentina. And we want to win the rugby championship. So we've gone for the team that we think can win. And I mean the Boks the whole week it's been all about respect for the Pumas. I mean, Rassie said this is an Argentinian side that reminds me of exactly where we were in 2018, and the next year we won the World Cup. And he speaks about how they've just got a perfect balance where they've got like a core of older, experienced, seasoned internationals, really guys who've been around the block and know what's going on in international rugby, and then they blend that with a nice group of very potent young players coming through, a lot of them coming from the sevens circuit as well. So they've got those tough Argentinian forwards, and then they've got those speedy, very skillful backs. So yeah, they are a potent side, and Rassie said, "I'm picking the best possible Springbok team to beat one of the best teams in the world." So that tells you that's his best possible team, he thinks.
John,
It's
I
going to
don't know
be,
if you want to weigh in there. We expected, I think we all expected more or less the same team from Wellington. It would have been criminal if they reverted to back to anything else after that win.
yeah, I think it's only the minimal changes obviously is in reinforced with Lewitt not having to play, but then you have a guy like Ibn Etzebeth coming back who's probably a starter
Yeah.
at this point. So basically close to full strength. I wasn't surprised at all that they decided to go with a bit of continuity. If you look at Damian the Allender, he's also probably the first choice inside
Yeah.
center, with Damian Willemse moving back to fullback. And at this point, with Apalele Fase's injury, Vali Leroux sort of getting towards the end of his career, he's probably that first choice fullback. So no surprises there. Pretty settled. And I think we've been all have been calling out for a sort of a settled Bok team from week to week after the experiments. We know this is what Rassi does. He did it before the 2019 World Cup, which they ended up winning. He did it before the 2023 World Cup, which they ended up winning. So we really can't criticize Rassi when it comes to rotating, chopping and changing, and building capacity. But this is a really important test. I think this is going to be the key to winning the rugby championship. It's going to be mightily important. We've seen some fierce battles between Argentina and the Boks in the past. But I think on the day, if the Boks can produce another all-encompassing performance, the one which we saw in Wellington a couple of weeks ago, if they can do that, I think they should get over the line on Saturday.
Yeah, and interestingly, Argentina, how good they are at times, especially winning at home against the Boks a couple of times. What is it, Salta and Santiago del Estero last season. They 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 don't produce the goods when they are in South Africa. It's actually been interesting how the Boks have been able to topple them here in South Africa. Mike, do you think that will play a role on Saturday in terms of that winning run the
Yeah.
Boks have against Argentina here in South Africa?
I think so. And also, but I mean, let's just remember that Argentina's first ever victory against the Springboks was in Durban at Kings Park. And Rassie spoke about that. Um, but I just think that the Boks are so focused on this game that they should have too much in the tank for Argentina. Also, let's just be wary of, Kings Park. Rassie spoke about how the conditions are different to any other stadium in South Africa. And I have been here this week in Durban, and that mugginess is starting to come back. It's going to be 26, 27 degrees.
Yeah.
And Andre Esthuizen spoke about the conditions too. Obviously, he's played a lot of rugby in Durban, and he says at this time of the year, while the humidity is still coming, but you can feel it's coming, he says there's so much dew around in this kind of spring that it's as slippery as when it's this full-on humidity.
Yeah.
So both Rassie and Andre Esthuizen spoke about how they expect conditions to influence how this game will be played. Andre said it's like the field's been sprayed with a hose pipe. That's how heavy the dew is at that kickoff time of 10 past 5. So,
Wow.
and Rassie said this will influence how we attack. He said we're very cognizant that it's a different kind of game when you play in Durban in late September. So, yeah, look, both teams we know very much can attack and run the ball. But I do think that we're going to see a different kind of game here. It's going to be a tighter game. Rassie said,
Mm.
first and foremost, this is a test match. And we have to play this as a proper test match. We can't go out there chasing our tails, chasing bonus points and so on. We've got to appreciate the conditions. We've got to appreciate the opposition, and we've got to win the game first before we worry about scoring tries and so on, and add the bells and whistles. So they're in full on test match mode.
It looks like probably, I think, a feature of both teams, and you speak about the conditions, Mike. What I think we're going to see is a lot of high kicks, but both
Yeah,
teams are very, very good in chasing
yeah,
those high kicks. So
absolutely.
it's going to be about who's the most accurate in terms of defending your backfield.
Mm,
Um, that's why Damian Willemse probably is going to be key at the back. I think he's probably in terms of catching the high ball, he's very good out there. And in terms of chasing, Cheslin Colby, oh, what a
mm,
player that guy is.
yeah,
Not just a stepper, but the way he can compete for those box kicks in
mm,
the air, along with Ethan Hooker, both
yeah.
of them. And you've got Kanan Moody also in the mix. We know he's very tall and he's very good at also chasing and competing for those high balls.
Mm,
So I think we're going to see a lot of that on Saturday. Another interesting thing for me about both teams' attack is the skill level. So I think while conditions are going to be difficult, I don't
mm,
actually see Argentina sort of going away from that plan where broken play where they live because of
yeah.
their seven skills. So from broken play, they are going to be very dangerous. So if you do kick a bomb and it's maybe slightly off, It's maybe a
Yeah.
bit deep and you give them a chance to run at you. They are very difficult to catch once they get going.
Guys, if I can just maybe share an insight. You mentioned Damian Willemse, and it just reminded me of something I thought was quite fascinating that Rassie Erasmus said about Damian. He's obviously back to full back now, and last week or before Wellington rather, there was not eyebrows raised when he was selected to start at 12, but it was a little bit of a interesting call. Um, and Rassie was asked about that, and he said, the reason why I moved him to 12 for that All Blacks game in Wellington is because by everyone's admission, he wasn't in the best form, that he seemed to be a little bit unsure of himself. His confidence wasn't great. And I just had a hunch that if I moved him to 12, where he's closer to the action, he's not isolated out at fullback. If I move him in there, he's got so much talent and he's such an instinctive player that if I put him closer to the action where he's involved all the time, then his natural ability is just going to kick in and he'll come good. And I mean, wow, what an inspired selection that was, because Damian ended up player of the match by some margin. So I just thought that was brilliant man management by Rassie, where he kind of worked out a plan to get Damian Willemse back to his best rugby, and it came off perfectly. And now he'll be back at fullback, but now his confidence is there, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine. Probably player of the match again. But interesting insight from Rassie there.
But
Yeah,
also, Mike, just on that point, sorry, Leighton, is that you want your most skillful players and your best players to get their hands on the ball more often than not, your playmakers. I think a
Yeah.
few years ago, that was sort of maybe the problem as he just started out with the Stormers, where they didn't exactly get him into the game or didn't know how he fits in sort of that puzzle because sometimes your versatility in a team context counts against you. But he's just so good. It's like in football where Lionel Messi is your best player. You want the ball at his feet all the time. So with Damian Willemse, because he's such a talent, he's got amazing skills. You want him on the ball all the time. And I think with him and Sasha over the weekend, interchanging that fly-off position, I think we'll see a lot more of that in terms of his distribution skills as well coming to the fore.
Yeah.
yeah. I was just going to discuss that what Mike said and then what you brought in is it's just so clear how Rassie gives his confidence back to his players, and once he sees they have it, he is happy to pick them wherever he wants to and wherever they feel comfortable. And it takes a lot for a player to sometimes regain their confidence. But just the way Damian Willemse operated in the various positions in that Wellington game shows that that faith
Yeah.
he repaid, and he did it in fine style. And now Rassie can say, wherever I need you, you will be able to play, and you have the confidence to do it because you know there's a team behind you, they backing you, the coaches are backing you, and you know what you can do. And that was the brilliant part for me in
Yeah.
terms of coming off that Australia game where things didn't go the way he would have wanted to. And then finally getting things going for the Boks. Speaking about
And Ethan,
momentum,
s-
go for
sorry,
it,
man.
Mike.
I just if I can also just add something in about Damian Willemse's centre partner in Wellington, Kanan. Rassie also spoke about that selection. I said to him, look, when we see Damien the Allender coming back at 12, you kind of half expect to see Jesse Creel coming back at 13 because they're such an established combination over so many tests, and it was quite interesting to observe what Rassie said about about 13, where he said, yeah, look, okay, no, that's true. I understand what you're saying. They kind of go together, those two, Jesse and Dallender. But he said, look, you have to reward form. And Kanan, I want to keep him at 13 because, like Damian Willemse, he's a very instinctive player. And he said,
Mm.
I felt that he's to kind of maybe have him, Kanan on the wing. You know, he's getting a bit isolated from the action, and I want to keep him closer to the ball too. Um, so I mean he's selected ahead of Jesse Kriel. That is what I'm saying, and he's there because he played so well against the All Blacks, and Rassie wants to keep him going. And he said, look, Jesse will play more tests for South Africa, but this is the best midfield combination I think for this match for a vitally important game. So
Yeah.
so Kanan's there on 100%. He's the man for the job.
Yeah, and remember, Kainan had a bit of a tricky game in Cape Town against Australia. I remember he was all over the show. And he was eventually subbed off, and it just shows again, like there's faith in those players to regain their confidence. Doesn't matter where or what is asked from them, and they went to go do it in one of the trickiest places to play rugby in New Zealand, and that definitely bodes well for the Springboks and how they are building momentum with the squads they select for a certain match day. Speaking about that momentum, I mean, Argentina's coming here with plenty of momentum. And I think one of the reasons someone like Eben is back, and there's continuity in selection is the fact that that Argentinian momentum must be stopped. Guys like Marcos Kramer, yes, like I would not want to tackle that guy. Um, Julian Montoya, Guido Petty, guys that drive the forward pack. And I mean, if Argentina's forward pack is not doing something on a certain day, their backs won't be able to do the things they can do. Those sevens guys at the back and um Carreras guiding them. Albornoz is back now as well. So halting that forwards, guys. The Kramers, the Montoyas, the Petties. It's gonna be vital for the Boks this Saturday, and Eben's gonna have to lead the charge there.
Because especially when it comes to the breakdown, because the matches which the Boks have lost to them, the one in Durban about 10 years ago, but also the couple of matches in Argentina, is when they absolutely flooded the breakdown and the Boks got no sort of momentum from there. And we all know that Argentina in the past, discipline was maybe a problem, but
Yeah.
that has improved a lot over the last couple of years. They are I used to joke that the rugby rule book in Spanish has sort of different interpretations, but they've certainly got it spot on these
Mm.
days. For me, I think where they will be tested, their scrum has improved a lot. We've
Yeah.
seen it this year, but
Mm.
they haven't scrummed against the Springboks yet. And
Yeah.
that is the ultimate test, as we know. And last year, they were totally obliterated. Even that game last year, which the Boks lost by 1 point, the Boks were dominant in the scrum there. At
Mm.
home, it was even better. So that is going to, for me, that is going to be a key part. I mean, Mike spoke to Wilco Low yesterday, where Mike asked Wilco, sort of, if you see a guy in front of you, is it just about pulverizing him and the raw power? But he actually gave a very nice, intelligent answer where he said,
Yeah.
it's a lot more technical than that. It's about the scrum as a unit, about all eight guys pushing um, in unison and at the same time. And for me, that's going to be the key, because once your scrum goes backwards and you concede penalties, then you concede territory, and from there you can concede points.
Yes, so can I just quickly add on something there about the scrumming? John, a very good point. Argentina haven't scrummed against the Springboks. They have improved, but it was quite interesting. I was chatting to some of the Springbok guys off the record, and they were saying that Kings Park is one of the best places to scrum. The grass holds, their boots, their studs can actually, get traction that sinks into the turf, and the turf doesn't, it stays intact.
So that's why
So
Ox moved. Is that why Ox moved to Dub?
No, no, in fact, no, those are the guys who say that the King's Park surface is the best to scrum on. And I think the Springbok pack is really looking forward to having a good surface to scrum on. And I do think the Boks can get a nice advantage there. I think they're quite loose for the scrumming on Saturday. Good surface. And just on the subject of conditions, wow, Durban has been miserable this week, eh? Yoch, just that those leaden skies all week. It's been grey, it's been drizzly, it's heavy, steady rain, that kind of rain that just doesn't go away. But it should be clear Saturday is what I'm getting to is, and hopefully it just dries up now. Today, Thursday, is a little bit of drizzle predicted, and then Friday is clear and Saturday is clear. So hopefully things dry out nicely and we get that really good conditions for scrumming and for running rugby when there is that turnover ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so it could be clear.
yeah, hopefully with that, if that running rugby comes and that turnover ball comes, and those 2 meters walk back in the scrum comes, the Boks will be able to use those opportunities. They've done well in terms of converting in Wellington. We know Eden Park wasn't the case, and we chatted at length on the miss. Okay, what can I call it now? The missed opportunities. Wanted to use a different
Mm,
word there now, but just not converting, entering 15 times and converting three,
yeah.
12 times, converting four opportunities. That's going to be crucial, but equally important is not to get away with. We had this a couple of years ago, and Rassie spoke about it in the week, if I'm not mistaken, going to chase
It was
that
Tony
bonus
Brown.
point. Was it
Yeah.
Tony? Going to chase
Sorry,
that.
Tony was talking about if I just quickly recap, he was on Monday and everyone was saying, "Wow, congratulations on the great performance! You must be thrilled that the fruits of your labors have come to pass with 36 unanswered points in the second half." And he looked quite deadpan. He said, "Everyone's celebrating. I'm not one of them." That's what he said. I won't I won't impersonate a New Zealand accent. And
Does
he
that
just,
Oak actually
no, guys.
smile? I don't know. I've never seen him smile before.
Yeah.
It was more of
What?
a
I
scowl
mean,
than a
what makes
smirk.
him happy? Tony, please tell us what will make you happy.
Yeah, he just said it. I'm dissatisfied because we're halfway through the season and we haven't yet put
Mm.
together an 80-minute performance. It's that
Wow.
Yeah.
first half, especially in Eden Park, was dreadful. All those missed opportunities. He said the first half in Wellington not good enough. All those visits into the red zone and we're coming away empty-handed. Yes, we came good in the second half for half an hour or so, but
Mm.
I'm not happy. We're halfway through the season. We haven't put together a complete performance, so I'm not celebrating yet.
And
Yeah.
that mentality, though, I mean, we joke
That's
about
scary
it.
for the
That
opposition.
mentality is scary. It
Yeah.
is really scary. And I think they will eventually get it right. And that is a massive
Someone's going
warning
to
for
get a
the rest
cut.
of the world. When they actually when they do put an 80-minute performance together, is going to be, and it's around the corner. It is
Mm.
around the corner. It's going to happen. For me, though, what ties into that, but yesterday, what Mani Labok said, and he, without being really prompted, they spoke about his performance and the performance of the team on attack, and the game plan in Wellington, and he sort of referred back to Ellis Park, where he didn't really refer back to it as, but he said for them it was quite clear that his job is to know when to play, to put the foot down on the accelerator and not tire out his forwards. And if we go back to Ellis Park, that is exactly what
Yeah.
happened when they maybe got too excited against Australia after racing 2022 nil up.
Mm.
And then they actually look spent in that second half because they just tried to. So for them also, in terms of this game plan and this all-encompassing game, you have to pace yourself. And you have
Yeah.
to know, okay, we are in a comfortable position now. We can maybe just put up a couple of bombs, and not try to run ourselves off our feet. And that maybe was the biggest lesson they learned from that game. And now they've implemented it in Wellington, where it was a complete game, where they were powerful up front, their kicking was good, and then when they had to strike at the back, they did.
Yeah. What is going to be important is, as he spoke about it, is not to chase that bonus point, but get that win first. Remember what happened a couple of years ago in Durban, where
Yes.
in that morning game, New Zealand scored a winning try against Australia, where Bernard Foley failed to take a penalty quick enough. The ref blew him up. It was a scrum for New Zealand, and they went to score in the corner, and they won. And the Boks then had to win by about what 40 something points in Durban,
47.
and
Yeah.
they ran, chased the bonus point win, but Argentina stuck in it, and there were plenty of errors on the box side. They couldn't convert properly, and the wheels came off. So, first of all, it's going to be about the win because the Bledisloe games between the Aussies and All Blacks. If the Aussies win one, lose one, the Boks will be in pole come Twickenham to get the title again. If they just stick to winning, trying to win the game first, and not banking on running the opposition for those 3 extra tries on Saturday.
Is
But
this
Jeepers, what
the
game?
Wallabies'
Sorry.
best chance to beat the All Blacks at Eden Park
I
for
think so.
about
I was
Yeah.
going to say, this is a game in prospect. I mean, you've got the
Yeah.
All Blacks where the whole country is demanding a response. But I mean, that Eden
Yeah.
Park record can't carry on forever, and Australia have just got the knack of doing unpredictable things like Ellis Park. I mean, I can't wait for that game now. I've got a
Yeah.
feeling in my bones something could happen there. The
Yeah.
Wallabies might just do that streak.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
if the Wallabies just keep them from getting a bonus point, that would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
lovely. That would be
Yeah.
lovely also. Um, but yeah, I don't see the Wallabies winning both matches.
No, no.
They probably the best chance will probably be at home. It's going to be interesting though. That Eden Park,
Sorry, it's the second
That's at home.
Bledisloe
Yeah.
in Australia.
yeah, it's in
Yeah.
Is it?
Australia, the
It's
second one.
Yeah.
in, I think, Perth. Yeah.
But
So,
as you say, that Eden Park record is, I mean, it's hanging there. It's weighing heavy on them as
yeah.
well. It's like it's extra pressure. We should have the Box should have actually won that game. In Auckland, the All Blacks aren't that great, man.
They're
Yeah.
not.
For all, I mean, they that cloak of invincibility they've had
No,
from say
it's gone.
2010 till 2018 or whatever, that is gone now.
It's gone. Yeah.
Come on,
That's gone.
Wallabies.
Guys, there's quickly before we forget, I know we have to chat the URC. And if you guys can give me 2 minutes of 1 minute, 1 minute. What do you see is happening in the opening round of the URC?
Yeah.
It's tough to speak
I
about
just,
it
just,
because
yeah.
there's still Springboks Rugby Championship to focus on.
I just want to make a point here about the URC, and well, it's more about the South African season and in general. So this, it's the same thing happened last year. So the South African teams are starting the URC, and each one of the unions has got an injury list that goes into double figures. I mean, the Sharks have got 16, 17 injuries. The Bulls
Yeah,
are not far off that. The Stormers have got injuries. I'm not. The Lions have got some too. But it's just the strange thing now that we have an all year long season where you start a campaign with half of your team injured. And
Mm.
I mean, so it's this whole
Yeah.
thing where over 9 months of a URC, these teams are waiting to get guys back from injury. They're waiting for their Springboks to come
Springboks to
back.
do.
The Sharks, for instance, I saw looked at their squad that they've gone overseas with. I mean, they're missing 28 players that you would think would be first choice. Talking about 10 Springboks and then a whole bunch of injured guys. And you start an overseas tour like that. So I don't expect the Sharks to do too well, to be honest. At Glasgow on Friday night, they'll put up a heck of a fight. But if they get more injuries over there, I mean, they're down to the bare minimum. It's going to be tough, but then they will start getting guys back. So it's just like a juggling act, I feel, for our URC teams to get momentum, to get some kind of continuity, because the players are just come and go. You know what
It's
I'm saying?
basically damage limitation. I think the first
Yeah.
couple of months you're right, Mike. I think where South African team starts to get some momentum is sort of December, January, February, where you've
Mm.
also your box had a rest and your box are back.
Like return.
Uh, and then they start to click in gear. And also, we've got rugby in December all over the country. So those guys have to come here from there -10 degrees to 30 degrees in Cape Town or Pretoria, whatever, to come play. But yeah, it is difficult. But it's a lekker start though for me, this tournament on Friday night with the Stormers versus
Mm.
Leinster in Cape Town.
Yeah.
I think that's a great start. Leinster, I don't think they've announced their team yet. But will all the Irish players be in the mix? They should be.
There are some, yeah.
So that's going to be a tough start for the Stormers, but for the crowds, it's going to be a good game to watch. But yeah, it's a difficult start. I actually fancy the Lions as probably the only team who can come away with a victory this weekend. They're playing Cardiff, and the Lions have actually had a decent preseason in the Curry Cup.
Mm.
They use the Curry Cup as their preseason.
Yeah.
So they had a decent season. I expect them actually to probably look the sharpest of all the South African teams this weekend
Yeah, I think the Bulls are at Loftus as well. So they should be strong in their
against
opening
the
game.
Ospreys.
We look forward to some lekker tackles from Friday in the URC and then on Saturday when the Boks and Argentina take each other on in a crucial Rugby Championship Test in Durban. It's the first of two where the title could be decided. So yeah, no predictions for you guys, unfortunately. We are steering away from that, but we will do that for that Twickenham one just because it is going to be, I feel it's going to be the decider next weekend. Thanks for tuning
Yeah.
in again, guys. Thanks for chatting. We'll be back with some more rugby news next week. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.